Hey guys, so just the other day I picked up this brand new Galaxy S20. You can still see there's that little tab from the plastic covers on it to use as my new primary phone. And believe it or not, for the past 6 years, that's right, 6, I have been using this now fully depreciated Galaxy S5. So obviously with a new phone purchase means, hey, I need to get a new case. And well, you know, if you look at my S5, I was using a Spigen Thin Fit, and quite frankly, that's been a great case for me. I loved how low profile it was. I loved the grippiness of it, and it's definitely done its job protecting the phone. Like you know, you can see in the corner here, there's some like chips out of the material itself because, well, this is just an old case. It's been dropped many times. I'm sure you can maybe see in the reflections some of the cracks I have in this tempered glass screen protector as well. And also a little bit newer for my my work phone, I also use another Spigen case, which is also done well. I love how grippy it is and provides ample protection for this phone too. And this is a S9, just for reference. But anyhow, I wanted a thin case for my new S20. And looking and seeing what some of the options were, these were a lot of the models that were recommended through different guides online. So starting left from right, we have the Totallee clear case, the Totallee not clear black case, Ringke Air S, the Spigen liquid air, and the Spigen Thin Fit. So starting with the Totallee clear case, this is made out of a TPU material, so it's, you know, pretty flexible, kind of rubbery. And one of the things I really thought was interesting about this is there's a bunch of these little textured dots on the inside, so it's going to grip your phone really well. And the TPU material is better for absorbing impacts, you know, if you drop your phone or something. But what's not so great about it, especially this clear material, and as I'm sure you can see right now, is look at all the smudges on this thing. Like you know, it'll get smeared from your fingerprints very easily. And actually, just out of the box, this thing already had smudges on it that I couldn't take off easily just by rubbing with a microfiber cloth. So you know, I'm not sure if this is going to be the best looking case. I suppose if you have some sort of graphic on the back of your phone, then this will let it show through. But I was curious why they decided to put this wonderful grippy texturing on the inside and not on the outside. The outside is actually really slick, and I feel that, you know, when I put the phone in, that it's actually a little too slick, and I can actually, you know, slide the phone out of my hand a little bit too easily. Additionally, I've never seen a clear TPU case that hasn't like yellowed horribly over the lifespan. I mean, I suppose if you're only keeping the phone 1, maybe 2 years, it's not something you worry about. But for somebody that goes for a full depreciation like I do, yeah, that starts to become an issue. And then also, you know, if you've seen some of my other videos, you know I do a lot of work in the garage, a lot of working on cars, and I just don't know how a clear material like this is going to hold up to all the grease, grime, and whatnot that I'd be getting on here. Some other things about it is it fully encapsulates the side of the phone, which is really nice. So you can see it's got covers for the buttons here, so those aren't exposed. We can see it's got the camera bump as well, so you don't have to worry about you know, setting it down and having your camera get messed up. It also does have some standoff for the front screen as well. So if you do set it down, the screen isn't going to be touching. Of course, if you use a really thick tempered glass screen protector, well, that may change. And if we look at the bottom here, you can see the cutouts are nicely positioned, so that you still have access to, you know, speakers and USB-C charging port and whatnot. And this case doesn't seem like it's going to flop off or come off of the phone. Like I know some of the cheaper cases out there, you know, the material isn't rigid enough, and so it can just kind of like flop and fall off of the side of the case. Don't have to worry about that with this guy. The next thin case is the Totallee not clear or black model, and this is not just a black version of the previous TPU case. This is actually like a completely different material, whereas this the clear one was TPU The black one is a polypropylene. So this is a different type of plastic, and you can see it's not quite as rubbery, it doesn't contort as easily, it's a little bit more rigid. This case is actually thinner than the clear model. So the clear model from Totallee is 30 mils thick, and the polypropylene black one is only 20 mils, so it's even thinner. That said, you know, this kind of feels like something that's like, you know, padded packaging for something else that you would buy. I mean, I'm sure it does a great job protecting against scratches, but that's about it. This thing will offer like no drop bump protection really like a TPU material would. It is plenty thin though. If we look on the side, you can see, you know, the light coming through that. Unlike the fully encapsulated buttons of the TPU clear model, this one does not fully protect the buttons on the side. If we go ahead and pop the phone in, it does fit nice and snug, very easy. It is a quality fit. You can see, you know, the buttons here, they're very well centered in those cutouts. Looking at the bottom, we see the same thing. The material is not floppy, it's not going to come off of the phone at all. You know, we still have our camera bump right here, so setting it down is not going to be an issue. It seems like it doesn't really give any standoff for the front though. Like I'm just feeling the edge right here, and I don't think this is going to provide any protection for the front, whereas the TPU model did feel like there was a little bit of standoff. So especially if you use a tempered glass screen protector, this guy isn't going to protect the front at all. Additionally, man, this material is really slippery. Like the first time I put my phone in here and I was just kind of like handling it, I almost dropped it a few times because of how slick this material is. So yeah, that's not such a great thing. Next up, we have the Ringke Air S, and this case is made out of a TPU material, so it's kind of, you know, easily deformable, and offers that nice, you know, bump protection. But it is thicker than the Totallee, and you can definitely feel that in the thickness of this main back section here. Like the Totallee, it's got a nice grippy interior, but unlike the Totallee, they've also added this nice rubberized texture to the back. So this is a lot more grippy. And if we pop the phone in here, it goes on nice and easy. We can see we have fully encapsulated buttons on the side for protection, our camera bump, and then, you know, we can see our cutouts for our ports on the bottom, also very well fitting. This feels really nice in hand, in my opinion. It gives a sufficient level of grip on its own. You know, before you saw with this guy, when I just did a little slide, the phone slid from down here all the way to about over here. With this guy, if I kind of do a little slide again, it doesn't really move at all. So, you know, that's just showing you how much grippier this texture is. Looking here around the camera bump area, there's a little bit of room between where this bump is and the edge of the bump itself on the phone. So that's probably going to be like a little dust debris collection point. That is one thing that these two Totallee cases did really well, is they really did a nice snug fit around the camera bump. You know, it shouldn't be too big of an issue. So this seems pretty nice so far. I'm liking this. Also, they include these little lanyard cutouts right here on both sides. So if you want, you can put a little lanyard through there to hang around your neck or whatever. I've never honestly seen someone do that. And the buttons on the side, or the power button rather, has a little bit of texturing on it. So if you're feeling around in your pocket or something, you don't know if you're touching the volume button or you're touching the power button, you can tactily figure that out because it's got a nice little texturing here. So this seems like a pretty nice case. And in addition to that camera bump in the rear, we do have plenty of standoff in the front. There's a lip around the top and bottom edges, so that when you place your phone down, you don't have to worry about the screen. And unlike all the other cases we're looking at here today, the Ringke Air S also comes in an assortment of colors. So, you know, we saw the black that I have right here, but it also comes in this like coral red, kind of bluish gray, and a light pink. Now let's take a look at the Spigen Liquid Air. So this guy has a interesting triangle pattern on the back. So, you know, the description talks about it adding grip, but quite honestly, it really doesn't, or it's pretty negligible. You can see these little channels in here. This case is also made of a TPU material, decently thick on the back. The sides have a texturing on them, supposed to improve grip, and you can see we have the button protection as well. So this one, you know, I honestly thought it would be grippier. I thought that this TPU material would have more of a rubberized coating on it, kind of like the Ringke Air S. So I was a little bit surprised that it didn't. That said, this does look like out of these thin cases, this will probably cushion the blow of any drops the best if that's what you're looking for. For me, not necessarily. I'm looking for a nice slim thin fit on the phone, some grip and whatnot. Phone popped in quite easily there. We can see the bottom. You know, once again, no issues with the fit. The cutouts are very well centered. In hand, the phone adds a lot of rigidity to the case, which is nice, and then these side serrations start to come into play and do actually offer a decent amount of grip. The back, not so much. I think this rubberized coating of the Ringke Air S was better, but overall this isn't a bad case. One thing that is notable, just looking at it right now, is there is quite a bit of gap in between the camera bump on the phone and the bezel of the case itself. So, you know, I was talking about how on the Ringke Air S, this is kind of like a collection point for dust and debris. It's going to be even more so with this Spigen Liquid Air. But, you know, maybe it being a little bit larger means it's also easier to clean. I don't know. Phone's too new for me. I haven't had the case on long enough to find out. But something to think about. So, feels pretty decent in hand. Does feel larger than some of the rest of these. Grip on the sides is good. Grip on the back, even with these triangle textures, not so great. And I think for my use, you know, in the garage, and like I was saying before, these little grooves probably would be like a little dirt and grime collection point, and won't be the easiest to clean off because it's not a smooth surface. And now for the last case, which is the Spigen Thin Fit. You know, as I mentioned before, my fully depreciated S5 has a thin fit, so, you know, this is 6 years, and so, you know, I obviously like what these cases have to offer. The thin fit is made out of a much more rigid material, so this is, you know, resisting me trying to bend it quite well, because this is made out of polycarbonate. So it's a pretty tough plastic, rigid on its own. Spigen does put this really nice rubberized coating on it, and that really does promote grip. The back of this is definitely grippier than the Liquid Air, even with its triangles and whatnot. Very similar to the Ringke Air S. So that is something I definitely like. If we look around though, there's actually a lot of exposed area on this case. So we can see there's some cutouts, breaks in the material on the corners, probably so it can flex because it's polycarbonate and it needs it. Where the side buttons are, we have this huge gaping hole. Let's go ahead and pop the phone in. I guess I should mention this. There's a little kind of recess in the phone here, so where this back wall of this sticker is actually stands off from the phone, so that you can apply a metal plate in here for magnetic mount, but obviously, you know, that will not allow you to use your wireless inductive charging. That said, let's go ahead and pop the phone in. Goes in with a nice firm snap, and you know, the phone feels really great. The side, since the case is rigid, the phone is rigid, it just has an overall very solid feel, which I like. Once again, we see how big this open, unprotected area is. And that's a little bit of a problem in my opinion, because if we look at my old S5, you know, the Thin Fit then also had large open areas. Like, you know, we have some on the power button here, and you can see like this kind of white strip where the Fox chrome has worn away just because things have been allowed to impact it. And we can see in the top, once again, you know, the fake chrome being chipped away because it's unprotected. And in the bottom, you know, it's all come off of this door. In fact, my battery door is kind of cracked in two. And once again, we see a lot of wear where that area was unprotected. So, you know, I think that is a problem or something to be aware of if you are going to get this case. And then looking at the camera bump, just like with the liquid air Spigen case, we have a pretty significant gap between the actual camera bump on the phone and the bezel that the case offers. So, you know, another collection area for dirt and debris. As thin as this case is, it still offers a front standoff capability. So the lips on the edges do protect the front. Just make sure you don't get too thick of a tempered glass screen protector if you want to keep that feature. So that's a quick look at some of the most recommended thin cases for the Galaxy S20. You know, myself having a Thin Fit and also a Thin Fit 360 on both of my phones that I've carried for, you know, up to 6 years now, I really thought I would end up going with the Thin Fit over here for my new S20. But after taking a look at all these, I think the Ringke has got it in the bag. You know, this TPU material has got a little bit more bump protection than the firm polycarbonate. This case overall has better protection because we've got these covered side buttons, so there's, you know, no large gaping holes, and they still have the nice rubberized coating, which I love and really promotes grip. So I think I'm going to go ahead and stick with this one. You know, this texturized power button is really growing on me as well. Just being able to know what I'm hitting or grab the phone and know exactly where my hand's placed based upon that feel. So I think I'm going to stick with this guy. I hope you enjoyed the information on the other cases and it helps you make your own decision.